All musical performances sound best in a room where the acoustics are perfectly matched to the style of music. An opera singer needs a large auditorium with good acoustics. A small theater with no adjustments made for acoustics would not do justice to his performance. An ACS system ensures that every musician achieves the best possible sound perception, no matter how the venue was designed. The foundations of ACS systems lie at Delft University of Technology in the Netherlands. There, Professor Diemer de Vries and others did fundamental research on acoustics.
The purpose of our research, and I think of all researchers in the field of room acoustics, is to optimize the acoustics of any hall being built and to avoid mistakes in that field.
Doetinchem, a Dutch city with 55,000 inhabitants, not far from the German border. The city has many facilities, so it's an important location for the entire region. For instance, it has high-quality cultural centers, like the Amphion Theatre, which opened its new performance center in 2010. It's a multifunctional hall, suitable for live drama and all kinds of music.
Schouwburg Amphion is een theater met een bovenregionale functie. Dat betekent dat wij een verzorgingsgebied hebben Doetinchem met inwonerstal van 55.000. Maar daaromheen heel veel kleinere dorpen en kerndorpen en andere gemeenten. Dat betekent dat ons verzorgingsgebied uiteindelijk 200.000 mensen is.
The designers of Amphion had already gained knowledge about electroacoustical engineering from their experience in the first Amphion Theatre. In that hall, ACS had also installed a system that could adjust the natural acoustics of the auditorium to every performer's sound. Amphion's management once again opted for variable acoustics by ACS for the new music theatre.
Onze zaal wordt gebruikt voor allerlei voorstellingen. En dan moet je denken aan een popoptredens tot koren en van ballet tot toneel. Dus je hebt een multifunctionele zaal nodig. En we zijn uiteindelijk terechtgekomen bij het ACS-systeem, omdat dat een prijs-kwaliteit verhouding het beste systeem was.
The ACS system consists of a large number of microphones and loudspeakers used to adjust the natural acoustics of the theatre to the specific acoustics that are required.
The ideal hall or theater to apply acoustic control systems is a hall that is optimal for speech. Speech requiring the shortest reverberation time, and that's challenging enough for an acoustic consultant to build a hall where speech is intelligible from each source position, each speaker position to each listener's position. And then, when the ACS system is brought in, you can add choice at all patterns of reflections that simulate the acoustics of whatever sort of venue you want to have. When an orchestra is sitting on the stage of a concert hall, every instrument causes a different pattern of reflections, being closer to a wall or farther away from the ceiling, etc. That's natural acoustics. So if we use our ACS system in such a situation, basically we should like to have every instrument separately in order to give it the reflection pattern it needs. But because our ear doesn't have that resolution, we find a compromise in having a number of microphones, each pointed, directed to a group of instruments sitting closely together. And then all those groups of instruments, all those parts of the ceiling get its proper impulse response. That's the reason that we use not single microphones, recording the full orchestra in once, giving all the instruments the same acoustics. That's not natural. No, every group separately, meaning that we use an array, a row, or a circle, or whatsoever of microphones.
The Amphion in Doetinchem is a typical multi-purpose hall, equipped with a full-featured ACS solution for variable acoustics. Looking at the schematic floor plan, we find 18 microphones hanging in 2 arrays above the stage. They ensure a high-resolution pickup of sound sources on stage and in the orchestra pit. To add lateral energy, 18 loudspeakers are mounted in the balcony parapets. 6 more loudspeakers are mounted in front of the proscenium opening, operating as a 4-stage reflector. These first 2 groups of loudspeakers provide early energy, important for clarity of sound and the correct spatial experience. Up in the ceiling of the hall, 10 loudspeakers provide reverberation. This, together with 24 additional loudspeakers mounted in the balcony parapets, ensuring sufficient acoustical envelopment. Surrounding the performers on stage, 12 loudspeakers are forming the orchestra shell. The shell will improve ensemble playing conditions. Mounted on the lighting bridge, we find 8 loudspeakers for what we call fallback. They radiate an image of the acoustics in the hall back to the stage, such that the performers on stage experience the same acoustics as the audience. This is a typical ACS system setup, but depending on the type of hall, its application and desired acoustical changes, many different layouts for both microphones and loudspeakers can be implemented.
It's an impressive looking setup, but how does it sound? A brass ensemble under the direction of trumpet player Malcolm Morton plays a fanfare written especially for this occasion, and we conduct a test, comparing several settings. The audio is recorded with a stereo microphone in the center of the hall. When this brass ensemble performs here, the best sound reproduction is achieved with a relatively short reverb of 1.8 seconds. But how do musicians experience playing in an ACS theatre?
Well, normally in a theatre, the acoustic is too dry, so it feels very uncomfortable. And with an ACS system, you are immediately brought into a space of comfort. That means you can hear yourself, you can hear your colleagues, and you can pretty much feel the public. I call this a transparent system because you're not aware it's running, but it just feels good.
In Doetinchem, the system was installed during the actual construction of the theatre. Ad van den Heuvel of ACS played an important role in the design of the room.
Implementing an ACS system is no hassle for the architect. He can really concentrate on one type of building, a hall for speech. So he doesn't have to take into account the enormous volume that is needed for a long reverberation time. The system components can be built in easily and out of sight. So what you see is just a nice looking theatre with great acoustics.
Nou ja, die microfoons die hangen hier dan allemaal boven of zo? Of hoe werkt het systeem? Dus...
De microfoons, er staat een bar aan de podiumrand.
Ja.
The involvement of ACS does not end with the implementation of the system. When fine-tuning the settings, they sometimes ask the musicians for their opinion.
Ja, je hoort al meer dat het meer uit de zaal terugkomt. Ja. Ja, heel goed.
Wat het systeem oplevert is die multifunctionele zaal. Dus dat betekent dat we alles met goed fatsoen hier over de bühne kunnen brengen. Dus zowel klassieke muziek als opera als toneel. En we kunnen op ieder gewenst moment de vertraging laten veranderen. Wat het ook op heeft geleverd, en daar zijn we heel erg blij mee, is dat het publiek opeens de weg heeft teruggevonden naar het theater.
The great versatility of the ACS system allows for a wide range of acoustical solutions, including the correction of acoustics that are not entirely perfect. A well-known example is the Sydney Opera House in Australia. In cooperation with Kierkegaard and Associates, ACS designed some architectural adaptations and conducted a test. They proved they could solve the opera house's persistent acoustical problem.
If you have an existing hall where the acoustics appears to be not suitable for a certain kind of performance, and as an acoustician, I can determine what's wrong with that, usually meaning that certain reflections from a certain direction with a certain delay time are not present. With the system, we can just fill in that gap of reflections.